Hello, especially for the Dirty Secrets channel.
The first transgression. Alex stared at his phone, thumb hovering over the message from Sophia. It was innocent enough on the surface, a question about a work project they'd collaborated on months ago. But he knew, and he suspected she knew too, that this wasn't really about work. He glanced across the living room to where Maya, his partner of 6 years, was curled up reading, completely absorbed in her novel. The soft lamplight caught in her dark curls, and for a moment guilt seized his chest so tightly he almost couldn't breathe. "Everything okay?" Maya looked up, sensing his tension. "Yeah," he said, forcing a smile. "Just work stuff." He turned his phone face down, the message unanswered but not forgotten. Later that night, after Maya had fallen asleep, Alex slipped out of bed and into the bathroom. He responded to Sophia. "Coffee tomorrow? 2 p.m. at Riverbank Café." The reply came almost instantly. "I'll be there." It was just coffee, he told himself. Just two colleagues catching up. But as he crawled back into bed beside Maya, he knew he was already crossing a line he had promised never to cross. Justifications: the cafe was busy enough to provide anonymity but quiet enough for conversation. Sophia sat across from him, stirring her latte with deliberate slowness. "I wasn't sure you'd come," she said. "Neither was I," Alex admitted. What had started as a professional admiration had gradually shifted during their last project together. Small touches that lingered too long. Inside jokes that excluded others. Late nights at the office when everyone else had gone home. "How's Maya?" Sophia asked, and Alex felt a twinge of irritation at the mention of his partner's name in this context. "She's good," he said curtly. "Busy with her new position. You never talk about her much." "There's not much to say." It was the first outright lie, and it slipped out so easily it frightened him. Maya had been distant lately, consumed by her promotion. They'd been arguing more, small conflicts about household chores that masked deeper resentments about time, attention, and priorities. It was easier somehow to be here with Sophia, where expectations were undefined and the conversation flowed without the weight of shared history. "I should get back," he said after an hour that felt both too long and not long enough. "Of course," Sophia replied. As they stood to leave, her hand brushed his and neither of them moved away. Escalation: 3 weeks of secret coffee meetings turned into lunch breaks and then after-work drinks. Each time, Alex told himself it would be the last. Each time, he found another reason to continue. "You seem happier lately," Maya commented one evening as they prepared dinner together. The observation hit him like a physical blow. Was he happier? Yes, but the reason was something he couldn't share. "Just feeling good about how the Thompson project is coming along," he said. More lies. Small ones at first, about where he'd been, why he was late, who had called. Then bigger ones to cover the smaller ones. A complex architecture of deception that required constant maintenance. The first kiss happened in Sophia's car, parked in a deserted lot after drinks had gone too late. It was brief, almost chaste, but it shattered whatever pretense remained that this was just a friendship. "We shouldn't," Alex said afterward, though his body betrayed his words. "I know," Sophia agreed, but neither made a move to leave. That night, he returned home to find Maya waiting up, concerned. "You didn't answer my texts." "My phone died," he said, avoiding her eyes. "Sorry to worry you." Maya studied his face, and for a terrifying moment, Alex thought she could see right through him. But she simply nodded and turned away. The affair, what followed, was a dizzying, disorienting period of dual lives. With Maya, Alex maintained the routines of their relationship: weekend brunches, evening walks, family gatherings. With Sophia, he created new rituals: hidden meetings in out-of-the-way places, encrypted messages, stolen hours in hotel rooms. The excitement of the forbidden gave everything with Sophia an intensity that his long-term relationship had lost. But it came with a constant, low-grade anxiety that never fully subsided. "I love you," Sophia whispered one afternoon in a hotel room that smelled of artificial lavender. Alex didn't respond. He couldn't. Those words belonged to Maya, had always belonged to Maya, even if he was betraying their meaning with his actions. "You don't have to say it back," Sophia said, but the hurt was evident in her voice. As the weeks passed, the compartmentalization became harder to maintain. He found himself irritable with Maya for no reason, picking fights to justify his emotional withdrawal. The guilt manifested physically: insomnia, loss of appetite, a constant tension in his shoulders. "Maybe we should see someone," Maya suggested after a particularly bitter argument. "A couples therapist." The idea of sitting in front of a professional while maintaining his lies was unthinkable. "We don't need that," he insisted. "It's just a rough patch." But it wasn't a rough patch. It was a fundamental breach, and deep down, Alex knew it couldn't be sustained indefinitely. Close call. The first real danger came from an unexpected source. Maya's colleague had seen Alex and Sophia at a restaurant in a neighboring town, a place he'd chosen specifically because he thought it was safe. "James mentioned he saw you at Trattoria del Mare last week," Maya said casually over breakfast. "He said he waved, but you didn't see him." Alex's mouth went dry. "That wasn't me. I haven't been there in ages." "That's what I told him," Maya said. "You were with me that night, watching that documentary about deep-sea creatures." The alibi she'd unwittingly provided sent a wave of nausea through him. He'd told her he was working late that night. She'd covered for him automatically, assuming there must be a mistake. Her trust made his betrayal all the more crushing. After that, he began to see threats everywhere. A text from Sophia appearing on his phone when Maya was nearby. A charge on their joint credit card from a café where he'd met Sophia. A lipstick smudge he might have missed. The stress began to affect his work. His boss noted his distraction during an important client meeting. Colleagues whispered about his frequent absences. Even his relationship with Sophia suffered. What had begun as an escape from problems at home had become another source of pressure. She wanted more time, more commitment, more honesty about their future. "This isn't what I signed up for," she told him during a tense phone call. "I'm not going to be your dirty secret forever." "I need time," he pleaded. But time was precisely what he was running out of. The decision point. 6 months into the affair, Alex found himself at a crossroads. Maya had received a job offer in another city, a significant promotion that would require them to relocate. She was excited, talking about neighborhoods they might live in, the new life they could build. "It's a fresh start for us," she said, eyes bright with anticipation. A fresh start. The words echoed in his mind. Could he move away, leave Sophia behind, and truly commit to rebuilding his relationship with Maya? Or should he confess everything and face the consequences? There was a third option, one he'd been avoiding acknowledging: leave Maya for Sophia. The thought alone made him feel like he was standing on the edge of a cliff. He arranged to meet Sophia at their usual hotel. As soon as she saw his face, she knew something was wrong. "Maya's been offered a job in Boston," he said without preamble. Sophia's expression hardened. And I need to make a decision." "No," she said, surprising him. "We need to make a decision. This involves me too, Alex. Or have you forgotten that?" She was right, of course. For months, he'd been acting as if his choices only affected him, as if he could control how and when this situation would resolve. But both women had agency here, both deserved better than his indecision. "I don't know what to do," he admitted, and it was perhaps the first completely honest thing he'd said in months. The revelation, the decision, was taken out of his hands on a rainy Tuesday evening. Alex came home to find Maya sitting at the kitchen table, his laptop open in front of her. His stomach dropped. "I wasn't snooping," she said, her voice unnaturally calm. "Your email was open." A message from Sophia appeared. It was explicit. Alex stood frozen in the doorway, water dripping from his coat onto the floor. "How long?" Maya asked. 6 months, he answered. There was no point lying anymore. Maya nodded slowly, as if this confirmed a suspicion she'd been harboring. Do you love her? Question caught him off guard. Did he? He'd carefully avoided asking himself that very thing. I don't know, he said finally. It's complicated. No, Maya corrected him, her composure finally cracking. Quantum physics is complicated. Climate change is complicated. This is just selfish and cruel. The truth of her words hit him with physical force. All his mental gymnastics, all his justifications, they collapsed under the weight of Maya's pain. I'm sorry, he said, knowing how utterly inadequate the words were. I need you to leave, Maya said. Tonight. I can't look at you right now. As he packed a bag, moving mechanically through the home they'd built together, Alex felt oddly detached. The revelation should have been catastrophic, but instead there was a hollow relief. The lies were over. Whatever came next would at least be real. The fallout Alex checked into a hotel, not the one he'd used with Sophia, but a sterile chain establishment near his office. He called Sophia and told her what had happened. You can stay with me, she offered immediately. I don't think that's a good idea, he said. I need some space to think. The hurt silence that followed confirmed he'd made the right decision. Moving directly from Maya to Sophia would solve nothing. He needed to understand how he'd ended up here, what had driven him to risk everything he valued. The next few weeks were a blur of practical logistical challenges and emotional devastation. He and Maya communicated through terse texts about bills, mail, and when he could come get more of his things. Friends took sides. Some cut him off completely. Others expressed disappointment but maintained contact. Work became awkward. Though he and Sophia were in different departments, rumors spread. His boss called him in for a conversation about maintaining professionalism during personal difficulties. Sophia grew increasingly frustrated with his reluctance to commit to their relationship now that it was in the open. What are you waiting for? She demanded during one heated phone call. You've already lost everything. Why not at least try to build something new? But that was precisely the problem. He had lost everything, and the reality of that loss was finally sinking in. The excitement of the affair had masked a fundamental truth. He'd made a terrible mistake, one that couldn't be undone. 3 weeks after moving out, he met Maya at a neutral café to discuss practical matters. She looked different somehow, thinner but also stronger, more self-contained. I'm not taking the Boston job, she informed him. I've accepted a different position here. I'm not going to let what you did derail my life. Her resilience humbled him. Maya, I know it doesn't change anything, but I am truly sorry. She looked at him for a long moment. You know what the worst part is? I keep replaying every moment of the last 6 months, wondering how I missed it. What kind of fool doesn't notice when the person they love is living a double life? You're not a fool, he said. I just became very good at lying. Well, she said, gathering her things, I hope it was worth it. As she walked away, Alex knew with absolute certainty that it wasn't. The aftermath: 2 months after the revelation, Alex and Sophia were officially dating. They no longer had to hide, no longer had to meet in secret. And yet, something essential had changed. Without the forbidden nature of their relationship, ordinary conflicts emerged. They argued about mundane things, schedules, finances, future plans. The intensity that had characterized their affair faded, replaced by the very domesticity Alex had supposedly been escaping. You're not the same, Sophia told him during one argument. It's like you're going through the motions. What did you expect? He asked. That we'd ride off into the sunset and everything would be perfect? I expected you to at least try, she replied. I risked everything for you too, you know. The guilt he felt toward Maya began to extend to Sophia as well. He'd drawn her into this mess, made promises he couldn't keep, all because he'd been too cowardly to either fix his relationship or end it cleanly. Meanwhile, Maya was rebuilding her life. Through mutual friends, Alex heard she was thriving at her new job, had taken up rock climbing, was seeing someone new. Each update was like a knife twist, not because he begrudged her happiness, but because he recognized the unnecessary destruction he'd caused. "I think we should take a break," Sophia finally said after a particularly distant weekend together. "Figure out if this is really what you want." Alex didn't argue. They both knew what it meant. The reconciliation not with Maya, that bridge was thoroughly burned, but with himself. Alone for the first time in years, Alex was forced to confront the person he'd become. The therapist he finally started seeing helped him see patterns he'd been blind to: his avoidance of difficult emotions, his tendency to seek external solutions to internal problems, his failure to communicate his needs honestly. The affair wasn't about Sophia or Maya, his therapist suggested during one session. It was about escaping parts of yourself you didn't want to face. The insight was uncomfortable but clarifying. He'd blamed the monotony of long-term relationship, Maya's preoccupation with work, the natural chemistry with Sophia, everything but his own choices. Slowly, he began to rebuild. He focused on his work, reconnected with friends who'd been willing to maintain contact, developed interests that had nothing to do with romantic relationships. He learned to sit with discomfort rather than immediately seeking relief. 6 months after his breakup with Sophia, he ran into Maya at a mutual friend's gallery opening. He almost left when he saw her, but something made him stay. Later in the evening, they found themselves alone near the refreshment table. "How are you?" he asked, the question insufficient but sincere. "I'm good," she said, and he could see it was true. "Really good, actually." "I'm glad," he said. "You deserve to be." A small silence, not entirely uncomfortable. "And you?" she asked finally. "I'm working on it," he answered honestly. "Learning a lot of hard lessons." She nodded. "That's good to hear, Alex." It wasn't forgiveness, he hadn't asked for that, but it was something. An acknowledgement that growth was possible, even after terrible mistakes. The understanding a year and a half after the affair ended, Alex had dinner with an old college friend who was visiting town. "You seem different," his friend observed. "More at peace." Alex considered this. "I think I finally understood something important," he said. "Cheating isn't primarily about sex or even love. It's about honesty. Not just with your partner, but with yourself." He'd come to recognize that the affair had been a symptom, not the disease. The real problem had been his unwillingness to acknowledge his own dissatisfaction, to voice his needs, to either work through difficulties or make clean breaks. He'd recently started dating again, cautiously, transparently. He was upfront about his past mistakes, not as self-flagellation but as accountability. Some potential partners were understandably wary. Others appreciated his honesty. He still thought about Maya sometimes, wondered about the life they might have had if he'd made different choices. He'd heard she was engaged to the man she'd started dating after their breakup. The news brought a complex emotion, sadness for what he'd lost, but genuine happiness for her new beginning. As for Sophia, they'd had no contact since their breakup. He'd seen on social media that she'd taken a job in another state. He hoped she'd found what she was looking for. The affair had cost him dearly, a relationship with someone he truly loved, friendships, reputation, self-respect. Price of deception had been far higher than he could have imagined when he first responded to that seemingly innocent message. But sitting across from his old friend, Alex realized something that surprised him. He wouldn't change what happened, not if it meant erasing the hard-won wisdom that followed. The pain had been necessary for him, if not for those he'd hurt. "The most destructive lies," he told his friend, "are the ones we tell ourselves." His friend raised his glass. "To painful truths, then." Alex nodded, raising his own glass. "And to what comes after."
Thank you for watching. If you liked the story, like, subscribe to the channel and share with your friends. Thank you.